I happened to come across a tweet that angered me. Now, we've all heard the how are you gonna pay for it so much that it's like a joke now at this point. Like you're seriously, you're still saying how are you gonna pay for it? Like you don't understand the hypocrisy inherent in that. It's like early 2019's What About? It's like, do you not get the context of what we know what you're doing psychologically, but generally it comes from either Republicans or from Jake Tapper. But now it's coming from inside of the House with Nancy Pelosi saying, how do you pay for that on Medicare for all? If we could bring up that tweet, you're gonna see the Hill. So I don't blame the Hill in this particular case. That's just a quote that she said. And that comes, by the way, after over 100 House Democrats have signed on to a plan led by Pramila Jayapal, who's been on the show, that would create a system of Medicare for all. And her response is, well, come on, Republican talking points.
That's what's so frustrating about it. And it is so easy to avoid it. And I always hear all these arguments that Nancy Pelosi is this master legislator who really is able to identify what's going on at all times and operate in a way that is pragmatic and expedient for her party's interest. In this, I earnestly believe that aspect of it hasn't gotten through to her. That like, no, this is okay to talk about now. This is okay to advocate for. And there's also incidentally answers to this question.
Well, she could figure it out.
Well, there's answers, and
theoretically,
as we talk about, there's more and more people getting into the presidential race right now. The governor of Washington, Inslee, just got into it today. And a lot of them are gonna be asked, what's your plan on this? Bernie Sanders, you could just go read it. And he actually says how you would pay for Medicare for all. So you would just go on his website. And people say that all the time, like, go check out our website. And you're like, how am I gonna find it? How's it gonna really tell me? Is it gonna be BS, like bullet points of nothingness? And the answer is no, it's actually like amounts of money that this would cost and how much it would save you in the long run.
Exactly, yeah, and she is helping to prop up not just the general how you gonna pay for it, but the specific, but it's so expensive talking points. So she said, that is administratively, Medicare for all, the simplest thing to do. But to convert to it, $30 trillion? Now how do you pay for that? Now again, as we've said a million times, the current system is more expensive than that. They just pretend that it's 30 trillion additional dollars, which does seem crazy if that was true. That would scare me too. Turns out it's not, but Nancy Pelosi either doesn't know that or doesn't want you to know that. She also says, all I want is the goal of every American having access to health care. You don't get there by dismantling the Affordable Care Act. That is wrong in two competing ways. One, yes, that is exactly how we could get to that, by dismantling the ACA and replacing it with Medicare for all or one of the other competing single-payer healthcare plans. That is exactly how you would get there. And also, we have had the Affordable Care Act for literally years now. Everyone is not covered. So I would react to her by saying, well, how do you get there by maintaining the status quo with the ACA?
No, she wants to mantle it. She doesn't want to and maybe mantle it, take up the mantle and make it better, but what's your plan for that? I mean, I'm sure the only person that has said that they have a plan for that is Klobuchar, and I'm fascinated to see what that would look like, and if it's a good plan, fine. Medicare for all is a way to communicate. We want universal health care, and we have a version of that for a certain age group, that is Medicare, and we want to expand it over a certain amount of time.
We want to mantle it.
We want to mantle it, incrementally. One finger of the mantle at a time.
Yeah, well, so I would say that incrementally is some people are saying that. Others like Pramila Jayapal are saying the reason that it has to be a switch over to Medicare for all for everyone rather than something that takes place over time is that if it were to take place over time, that would provide time for the insurance companies to jack up prices and all of that.
Right, and I'm saying a certain amount of time. That amount of time could be overnight. It just varies from person to person.
Yeah. And by the way, I said earlier that I wasn't going to blame the Hill, but I am going to blame them a little bit because they also wrote, and this is not a quote, this is just something they wrote. The roughly $30 trillion price tag over 10 years of single-payer health insurance, sometimes referred to as Medicare for all, has been one of the leading criticisms of the proposal.
But that's
that is true. That is one of the leading criticisms that has been responded to, and you're pretending that it hasn't been, and you're just putting it out there as if, whoa, that's a big deal. That's a big problem. How are they going to deal with that?
And the answer is the current system costs more than that, and we are paying for it now through your employer, through private insurance, who are funding private insurance companies and all that. And there's a lot of problems with that. And yes, if you talk to doctors, they actually say, well, do you want to expand Medicaid for all? No, not as much as I would for Medicare for all, because that makes more sense for hospitals.
Yeah. Thank you very much for watching this clip from the Damage Report. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell on YouTube to get notifications of our new videos. And of course, you can catch the full Damage Report live every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on TYT Network on YouTube TV.